Good afternoon, class. How are you all? I hope very well. Okay, so I know we've been doing some different trainings and things like that. So I figure what we should do today is take a break from that, even though there's going to be even more this week, just so you know. But because we need to get caught up on these things, make sure everybody's safe, ready to go. But I figured let's do something that's seemingly happy, but maybe. I haven't actually read the entire article yet, which I usually do. But today's class is going to be on the new coronavirus BA2 variant. Because I looked up a little while ago. I looked up kind of what the BA2 variant is, how we're going to deal with it, and it kind of seemed as though it's not good. And then there are new things coming out saying that it's not as bad as maybe everyone has thought. So I'm going to read this new article. It was 4 days ago, so news has been caught up with the Ukraine. Let's please give our best thoughts. If you're a praying person, maybe pray to the people of Ukraine and hope that things go well and this conflict will end. But we still here, program-wise, need to keep up on what's going on with different strains and how it's affecting people so that we can kind of figure out when we can get back to full time so we can start seeing each other in the vans all together the way it used to be. All right, well, let's see. Okay, so this is new studies bring BA2 variant into a sharper focus. So, this is from CNN, so I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but they are a real news source. I'm not saying who is. It's not the National Enquirer, but they definitely do research and do their best. So I'm not trying to politicize anything. All I'm saying, this is where I get it from. I get a lot of the classes I've done from the World News, from Time, from all over the place. So on the heels of concerning new lab and animal experiments suggesting that BA2 may be capable of causing more severe disease than the original Omicron strain. Like I said, hey, don't worry, there's silver lining here. 2 new studies are helping to show how well human immunity is defending against the strain in the real world. Yes, that's good news, but like I said, I haven't read the whole thing, so I'm not going to get too excited. So it says BA2 is about 30% more transmissible than the original Omicron variant BA1, according to early studies from the UK as well as Denmark. And it is now causing about 1 in 5 COVID cases worldwide, according to the WHO or World Health Organization. Sorry, I just like saying it that way. Even as 1 in 5 COVID cases even as COVID-19 cases have been dropping around the world, the relative proportion of cases caused by BA2 has been increasing. It is outcompeting the original Omicron strain in at least 43 countries, prompting fears of another devastating pandemic wave. Again, let's hold on. So, as of now, I don't think that we need to sound a global alarm, but I do think that we need to pay attention to BA2 because it does appear to have a growth advantage over BA1, says Dr. Dan Baruch, director of the Center. Sorry, I don't know if it's Baruch like that. Director of the Center for Virology and Vaccine Research at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston. That's a mouthful. Like the BA1 strain, BA2 also has features that help it escape some immunity from vaccines, and for most monoclonal antibody treatments, Though recent boosters improve personal protection and antiviral pills are still expected to work against the subvariant. So, they're saying is please, those of you who haven't get boosted, get boosted. It's very important. And they are coming out with the antiviral pills. So, I think what the pills are, from kind of what I've heard, and maybe I'll do a class on this at some point, is just to kind of keep your immune system up. Maybe like a helpful, vitamin B12 shot or something like that, but just keep your system ready to go and ready to defend off from any sort of COVID virus. Now, new studies are providing some reassurance that while BA2 may overtake its genetically distinct cousin, which is BA1, it won't likely lead to a greater numbers of hospitalizations and death. It won't likely lead. Let's hope. The situation that we're seeing on the ground, and I get this from taking a number of my colleagues who actually do the genomic surveillance, is BA2 is kind of creeping up in terms of numbers, but it's not the meteoric rise that we saw with BA1. That's good news. And that was said by a virologist of the Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization at the University of Saskatchewan in Canada. Saskatchewan. That's because in many countries, like the US, UK, and Denmark, BA2 has hit speed bumps left in its wake by BA1, which was already very contagious. So they're still related. So it's soon after that the initial BA1 peak that you have a lot of people who were either vaccinated or boosted or got Omicron. So right now, all of these people will have relatively high titers of antibodies, neutralizing antibodies that will protect against infection. So this is good because people are getting boosted. Now, don't go out and try to get COVID, but they say, but people who did accidentally get COVID, their body's building up a natural defense to it. We don't know what the long-term effects of getting COVID are, so like I said, that's not a good idea. Some people think, oh, I'm gonna get it. It should be fine. Don't do that. It is not safe. The new studies are reprints or preprints, which means they were posted on an online library of medical research before being viewed by outside experts, and so this is not 100%. That's all that's saying is these are preprints. This is kind of a guesstimate, like an educated guesstimate, though. These are people who have got their degrees. They've gone to school for a long time, and this is what they chose to do with their life. So no increase in hospitalizations. Okay, that's good news. The first new study comes from South Africa, where BA2 grew rapidly, rising from 27 to 86% of new COVID-19 infections over the course of a single week in February. Okay. But again, let's see. Researchers looked at cases tied to more than 95,000 positive COVID-19 tests. Among these, roughly equal proportions of people were hospitalized for their infections. Roughly 3.6% of people who had presumed BA2 infections compared to 3.4% of those with signs infections caused by BA1. Okay, so again, those numbers weren't that accurate. So, they were a combination of BA2 and BA1. So it wasn't all a new variant. So, that's good news. After researchers accounted for things that might influence a person's risk of severe disease, such as older age, they found no difference in the risk for hospitalization between people infected by BA1 and those infected by BA2. Roughly 1/4 of people hospitalized with both BA1 and BA2 infections were fully vaccinated. Those findings echo hospitalization studies from Denmark, where BA2 is also the predominant cause of COVID-19 infections. So the lead researcher on the African study says that while it's difficult to say how the South South African experience with this variant may translate to other countries. What they're seeing from BA2 after their fourth wave isn't a second peak, but a longer tail. Well, that's good news. So basically what they're saying is, this isn't a peak. You know how we'd hit like cases, and then there's still cases, but now they're coming down, but there's still cases that are coming down. So what this is more is just like, we go up, and then we come down. Our baseline's like right here, but instead it's just kind of a longer tail. Slowly getting closer to the baseline, slowly getting closer to the baseline until one day, boom, we hit that. So it's not a peak and then a slow drop off. This is just kind of, we're hitting the very bottom of the mountain. So you climbed over a mountain, you're getting down to the bottom end of it. Now we're just hiking on the trail to get back to solid ground. But it's a long tail to get back to solid ground because of BA2. We have seen an extended wave which has currently plateaued at a higher level than we have seen in previous interwave periods. This may also, however, be influenced by schools opening following the December holiday period and a general relaxing of restrictions. So it could be both. It could be BA2. It could be because, we're being a little more relaxed. People are trying to get out, take their masks off. Mask mandates have gone down. Kids are going back to school. Hopefully programs like ours will start to open up more, but of course that does increase the risk of infection. So it's your choice. So cases have stayed at a high level, and most are now caused by BA2 hospitalizations have continued to decline. That is awesome. Okay, and then let's see. What about infection risk? Okay, so this is the last part. What about the reinfection risk? So, the second new study from Denmark Statens Serum Institute, the country's equivalent to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, looked at the risk of reinfection with BA2 after recovering from a COVID-19 infection caused by other recent variants, including the Delta variant and the BA1, otherwise known as Omicron. So the study found that people who've recently had a COVID-19 infection caused by Omicron or Delta can be reinfected by the emerging BA2 subvariant. But such cases appear to be uncommon, afflict mostly those who are unvaccinated, and result in mostly mild infections. So it's not as harsh as the others were. BA2 is currently the dominant cause of COVID-19 in Denmark. It overtook BA1 during the second week of January there. And it hasn't said much about the US at all, which is good. That's what we want. So to look at reinfection risk, researchers combined through more than 140,000 viral genomes that were sequenced from infections during the period when Omicron became dominant, which was from late to mid-February. So late November to mid-February, to find people who had a new positive test 20 to 60 days after a previous one. So they just took a sample of 140,000 and then kind of, to get the numbers this way. They found a total of 263 reinfections, with 190 of those caused by the BA2, which is kind of high for BA2 because 190 out of 263, that's the majority. In 140 cases, the person was reinfected by BA2 after an infection caused by the Delta variant, and there were 47 cases where people were first infected by BA1, the original Omicron, followed by the BA2 subvariant. So, Delta was a really strong one. It was a powerful wave that came through and hit pretty hard. And so there are still cases from that, but then from the Omicron, there aren't that many cases of people that's reinfecting from Omicron. So what that shows is that it's lessening. The infection rate is definitely lessening. So researchers then did a more in-depth analysis of the 47 infections where BA2 followed the Omicron. Most of the individuals who were infected were young. 30 were under age 20. None of the reinfected individuals was over age 40, and nearly all, 42 of the 47 individuals, were unvaccinated. For the most part, infections were mild. 20 people had no symptoms or mild symptoms out of the 43. It's basically 30 out of 43, so we've got, 15 cases. 5 people experienced symptoms that were characterized as moderate, akin to flu-like symptoms. There were no hospitalizations or deaths reported among the reinfected individuals. This is all very good news. This study shows that reinfection can happen with people who recently recovered from BA1, but it's pretty rare, and in all those cases it wasn't severe. So, these are all good news. What that means, she says, is that while BA2 reinfection is a risk, it is a small risk relative to the entire population. And that recent immune boost caused by either boosters or recent Omicron infection is largely going to protect most of the population against it. So this is all very good news. Now, what does this mean for program? I don't know. I'm not in control of that. I can ask questions, but most of the time what I hear is, we'll let you know, because we're waiting to hear from our governing agencies as well. But in terms of BA2, it sounds, I'm not going to say that it's not bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as where we've been. So that part is very good news. Anyway, I hope this news finds you well. And yeah, I hope to see all of you very soon, and hopefully maybe in a couple of months we'll see each other all together again. Fingers crossed. I'm not promising anything. Fingers crossed. All right, ciao for now.